Good afternoon, good evening, rather, and thank you for coming through. Thank you for joining us. We will begin shortly. We've got about 15 people in the call, including our guests. So we will just allow more people to join us in a minute or two, and then we will kick off our official masterclass launch, the first one for Inspired Growth. We are so excited. It seems like it promises that we will have a full house. So we've had about 60 people that had confirmed registration. So we are nervous as much as we are excited. So just bear with us. And we've got, our guest, Dr. Bongani, who will also then enlighten us on today's topic. So we'd really like to welcome our guest, Dr. Bongani. Please welcome. It is really a pleasure to have you. We've got leaders from our NPC Inspired Growth that have joined us. We've got leaders in the call from all sectors and all industries. It is very overwhelming, but we are equally excited. So I hope you can hear me clearly. Mary, can you hear me?
Yes, Pam, loud and clear.
Okay, no, awesome. Thank you so much. So it is now the time, I think it's just 2 minutes after 6. So we will join shortly. I will just ask that while we allow more people, as soon as we hit like 20, we are sitting on 17 now. As soon as we hit 20 people, then we will start our program for this masterclass. But in the meantime, I'll humbly request Dr. Pat to please show your face, as well as Mary. These are my leaders here at Inspired Growth that are going to be handling this program today for the next 90 minutes. So I just like for you to recognize them and see them. And maybe, while we are still counting our numbers, we also just allow them to greet us. So sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Pamela Xaba, and I am the co-founder and the chairperson for Inspired Growth NPC. And really, we are kicking off the 12-month long, what would be a 12-month long masterclass series, which we have termed Coaching, Leadership, and Visibility. So we will introduce today's topic that our guest, Dr. Bongani, will enlighten us on. So over to you, Dr. Pat, just to introduce yourself while I put my slides on the screen, and then I will hand over to Mary. Over to you, Dr. Pat.
Thank you so much, Pam, and a very good evening, colleagues. I am Pat Masbugo, very excited to have you with us today. This is our first session or series, as Pam has said. So we're really looking forward. We also have some bugs in the stomach, probably just like some of you have, and Dr. Bongani. But we are excited. I am part and parcel of the Inspired Growth fraternity. Pam will introduce us just now in terms of our different roles, but I'm excited. I'm very passionate about leadership. I'm passionate about ethics and governance, amongst other things. And like I always tell people, that my first love is that of an electrical engineer. Thanks, and back to you, Pam.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. So Mary, let me hand over to you. So just confirm that you can see the holding slide on the screen.
Yeah, all good, Pam.
Okay, wonderful. Over to you, Mary.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your evening with us. My name is Mary Gadamu, and I am the co-founder and community lead at Inspired Growth NPC. I am very passionate about youth employability, and also creating opportunities, economic opportunities for all. So yeah, really honored that you have joined us as a community lead. I'm going to ask everyone if you can please maybe in the chat let us know where you are joining from, your name, so that we can network as well. And if you are able to, maybe you can also share a link to your LinkedIn profile. That would be great as well. But again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Let's go for it. So we just have over 20 people in the call. So let us then officially welcome our expert guest, Dr. Bongani Mabizela. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you, Pam and Dr. Pat and Mary. I am deeply humbled and excited to be part of this session. I look forward to our fruitful engagement. Thank you.
Thank you so much and welcome. We are really, really grateful and humbled that you could take time out of your busy, busy life to be with us and school us and educate us and share some wisdom. So we're really looking forward to the discussion that we're going to get into. So I think for the next 10 minutes, I would just really like to, set the tone in terms of the theme of this session today. Our first masterclass is Inspired Growth. So we have termed today's theme, building systems that work through innovation, inclusion, and sustainable growth. It's really a packed theme, and that's why we have Dr. Bongani, who will really help us unpack it today. And then just maybe high level also to just, answer the question that we keep getting, because we actually registered this NPC about 2 months ago, end of September to be precise. And people have been asking us, what is this inspired growth that you guys keep talking about? And really how we describe it is that it is an NPC that is a membership-based NPC, and we are then building an ecosystem where we are saying personal growth, leadership development, business innovation intersect. Therefore, enabling individuals, enabling businesses and communities to thrive with purpose and confidence and impact. But we'll get into the details much later once we've unpacked the panel discussion with Dr. Mazibuko. So then just to maybe also introduce the team in the spirit of transparency in terms of our makeup for the NPC. You've got myself as the co-founder and the chairperson. And then we have Dr. Pat Mazibuko, who's our executive director, as well as the board member. We have Mary Gadamu, who's also the co-founder and our community lead in terms of membership engagement. We then also have Kantha Naika, who's our treasurer and board member. But over and above the 4 people that you see on the screen, our full board is made up of 12 people, including ourselves, other board members, as well as advisory board members. So that I hope that helps to give us context. So in terms of our agenda for today, if we can then just maybe keep our phones on silent, starting with mine, because it started ringing a while ago. So just keep our phones on silent. Mary will be monitoring the chat. Please, you are more than welcome to leave your details, engage, ask questions. We will also have a session for Q&A for 15 minutes with Dr. Bongani with a topic that he'll be unpacking with us. And really the purpose of this masterclass series for the next 12 months is to do exactly that in terms of personal growth, professional growth, leadership development, to really bring change makers, influential entrepreneurs, influential executives from high impact sectors of our economy to actually then unpack some of the topics that are really, really critical as we see that the world of work and the future of world and people is evolving. There's AI, there's automation, so what will it really take for us then to build systems that work, to coach, to mentor, to share knowledge, to build each other up, to build up our young people, to talk about, to have courageous conversations about some of the things that as a society we tend to avoid or we tend to put under the carpet, but talk about those things in a constructive manner to set the tone in terms of what we can expect. So we will then enter into a panel discussion or a conversation with Dr. Bongani that will be interviewed by myself along with Dr. Pat Mazibuko. And we'll have a 30-minute guided interview and we'll have a 15-minute Q&A with everyone that has joined us in the call today. And really the topic that we will be unpacking is building systems that work, innovation, inclusion, and sustainable growth. Once we are done with the 45 minutes panel discussion, we'll then move over then to unpack what is really then the inspired growth strategy, and for the next 12 months, for the next 3 years, What is it that we are about? What are we hoping to achieve? You know, what are some of the issues that we are hoping to help solve, and the collaboration that we are seeking from leaders from different sectors of our economy, as well as communities and societies. Once that is done, in terms of us unpacking the strategic pillars, we will then go into our closing reflections, and we are open to taking suggestions, input, you know, what you may see as areas of improvement. Really, this is a safe space, and we are keeping the tone very lighthearted, and we are eager, excited, and nervous at the same time. But we know that we've got really open-minded leaders in this call who will help us navigate what we are then hoping to achieve by having these master classes. So in that context, I have stopped sharing, and let us then now enter into our main conversation. And I'll also again like to thank everyone that has made it tonight out of your busy time and your busy life, work and family life. But let us really now step into tonight's anchor conversation, which is really building systems that work. And really the context there is that, you know, South Africa is a society, you know, South Africa is a home to really exceptional engineers, Dr. Pat, and exceptional innovators, exceptional technical experts, but we produce talent across all disciplines: electrical, civil, mechanical, industrial, chemical, you name it. We have talent, we have experts. But yet, when you look at our infrastructure, you know, our infrastructure is either it's ailing. I know this may come across as a general statement, you know, but I mean, some of the observations that some pockets of our infrastructure is either ailing or is collapsing. And then as a result, communities and society tend to suffer, and which then also slows down service delivery, you know. And also we observe that in some pockets then talent seems to be underutilized. So tonight then we unpack the why and what it takes, or what will it take then in that context to build systems that deliver, to build systems that work, right? So on that note, let me hand over to Dr. Pat, who will introduce our guest, Dr. Bongani Mabizela, who is the Executive Chairman of Ulwazi Group of Companies. Over to you, Dr. Pat. Yes, I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect, perfect. No. Thank you so much, Pam. Thank you so much. May I introduce Dr. Mabizela? Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mabizela and I come a long way. We've known each other just for over 4.5 decades. So that's how much we've basically traveled. At that time, Pam, we were young boys that were very focused and very inquisitive. So we come a long way. But who is Dr. Mabizela? Dr. Mabizela is basically a man of God. I know him as a God-fearing man, a close friend and a brother. But most importantly, he's a businessman. Right now, he's the executive chairman of Ulwazi Group of Companies. He is also an entrepreneur, a great leader, a very ethical leader indeed. And Dr. Mabizela, on behalf of Inspired Growth, we just want to say welcome. We're looking forward to have you with us, and a very good evening. Good morning, good afternoon. Dr. Mabizela?
Thank you very much, Dr. Pat, for that warm introduction. I'm trying to show my picture so that people can see indeed that it's the Bongani Mabizela that some know. And I'm not too sure whether will you allow me to share my picture, all right, on the screen. I think it's only fair that I show them my face, and then thereafter I can disappear and they can listen to my voice. Please do allow me access.
Yes,
I've activated it on my side, but I don't see it on the screen. Can everybody see me?
Yeah, we can see you, Doc.
Yes.
We can see you.
Yes.
We can see you, Doc.
That is wonderful.
And please don't disappear. Please don't disappear. We'd like it to be an engaging discussion for the next 40 minutes or so with everyone that has joined us in the call. So please don't switch off your video. I've also just respectfully switched off my cell phone because it just kept on buzzing. So just as a reminder for everyone to either switch off your phone or keep it on silent. Thank you so much. So Dr. Mabizela, welcome. And how are you, sir? Please give us maybe a lighthearted intro in terms of who you are, anything really that over and above that Dr. Pet has given us in terms of who you are, whatever that it is that you are comfortable to share at this stage. But obviously, with the view that most people that have joined in the call, they've either looked you up, Googled you, researched, because I was even stalking you on LinkedIn and stalking you on Google and all the internet sites and ChatGPT, trying to find as much information as I can. But it's always good to hear from the horse's mouth. So over to you, Doc.
No, thank you very much for that. Pardon me, I look very formal. I wouldn't like to look like this, especially at this time of the day. I've just come from the B20 summit or session. I'm sure you know the current program and activities that are taking place in the country with the G20. So I'm part of the B20, which is the business arm of the G20, where business are interacting amongst themselves and, of course, sharing knowledge and experience and expertise, and in the process also securing deals where necessary. So that's why I look so formal to everybody. Thank you very much. Now, maybe as a starting point, let me congratulate you. I might forget. Let me congratulate the Inspired Growth NPC for the sessions of leadership that you guys are embarking upon, that you guys have launched, that are starting today. I see myself as the guinea pig, and it can be very good. It can also set a wrong tone, but I hope to set the right tone. You know, when ordinarily I'm used to doing presentations, you know, when I'm bidding for a particular or pitching for a particular project, and there is a number of us that are shortlisted, I always prefer to be number one or number last. And for simple reason, number one, you set the tone, and number two, or rather number last, you nail everybody else that has come before you. So you outshine them. So I'm hoping that the earlier will be the case in this instance as such. Now, as a preamble, let me give you the very quick background about myself. Born in 1968 in Hammersdale, Mpumalanga Township, in KwaZulu-Natal, within the Durban municipal area. Mom and dad in a family of 5 siblings, being the eldest. And yeah, and then of course, I get to meet Dr. Peter during our high school education. I think we did standard 6 until standard 10 together at a boarding school, and that's where we met. We hooked up and we clicked, and we became brothers and friends up until this far. I'm a husband of 1 wife. I'm a child of God. I'm blessed with 2 daughters and 2 sons, and especially, well, maybe I should mention my daughters are about to get married as well, so it's a blessing. And yeah, I think one also needs to mention I'm a professional. I'm a civil engineer by profession, but of course I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. Now, coming back and zooming into looking at the time as well, I don't want to deliberate too much on my profile. I always say, if you want to know me better, Google is there. You can go and find myself, and it will tell you everything. Hopefully, it will give you the good news about me. I've been in leadership for most part of my life. Just to give you a spectrum, also I sit in a number of boards of different companies, private companies, corporates, but also in government, some of the government entities as well. Like currently, I'm sitting in a board of the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, where I'm assisting in particular with the technical skills and knowledge in making sure that service delivery is upheld within the department. Having said that, I'm also a founder of Ulwazi Holdings Group since 2008, when I left government, where I was the head of department for roads and stormwater within the city of Tshwane Metropolitan Municipality. So I was part of the very first dispensation at the metro at the city of Tshwane, which is Pretoria, our capital city of South Africa. I think it's safe to say that. Now, moving ahead to our maybe let me give it over to you. Yes.
No, thank you so much, Dr. Bongani. We really, really appreciate this, and we just really appreciate your humble and your light-hearted approach as well. So, which really puts my nerves at ease together with myself and Mary, because we were quite excited. So, but anyway, let's get into the topic in terms of, what it will take, to really build systems that work through innovation, through inclusion, and through sustainable growth. And the segment really that we will kickstart the discussion with Dr. Bongani, and we've termed it the engineering paradox, right? And here we are saying that South Africa has engineers, but our systems seem to be ailing, So, and let us really then begin to, to unpack this paradox that many South Africans struggle to understand. We have engineers, we have technical graduates, we have skilled professionals, but then where does this disconnect then come from? It may seem as a general statement, but it may seem as if nothing is working. That's not what we are saying, is that things are working, but we would like them to work optimally. So where does the disconnect come from? Can you unpack this engineering paradox for us, Doc?
Well, thank you very much, Pam, for that. This is a very, very interesting topic and discussion. When I saw it first, when I was approached, I said, wow, and it just talks to me, it just talks to my past experience, even my current experience that I come across. And I think it's a very, very important topic for this time and for this period, not only in our country, but extensively throughout our nation, but elsewhere as well. I think that this is very much befitting. Now, let me give you a bit of a preamble quickly. My leadership experience and portfolio comprises of different and complex aspects. Number one, it's a family leadership. Number two, it's government leadership, being in government, having led a department in government, having been part of systems in government, understood how the systems operate in government, and led a very diverse, community of professionals within government in a very challenging time when there was transition from the old dispensation of local government systems to a new dispensation, which was ushered after the elections in the year 2000, which then gave birth to what we're seeing now as metropolitan municipalities. If you remember, prior to that, we had transitional local municipalities and rural municipalities. So all of that was integrated in certain strategic manner and put together in certain strategic areas, and then gave birth to the metros that we see and the current local municipalities dispensations that we see. Now, also my experience is in the corporate leadership. It's also in business leadership as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, but also my other experience is in church leadership and also political and community leadership. That is just to give you a sense of some of the dynamics and aspects of leadership that I've been involved in. Now, what we are talking about today, in particular, it relates to government leadership, meaning service delivery. And when you're talking about professionals, you're talking about engineers in particular, whether civil, electrical, mechanical, metallurgical, chemical engineers, you name it, in a local government setup, in a municipality, or in a provincial government setup, also in a national government setup, we see all those skills playing a very key role in service delivery. Now, let me qualify also by saying systems are designed and systems are made
by men. And systems are created to work in a particular facet or in a particular manner. And systems on their own cannot do what we want them to do if we don't direct them how to do. And also make sure we adhere to the principle of the systems that we have created. Now, systems on their own cannot be the alpha and the omega. Now, also systems, as I said, are created by us. Now, systems get to be manipulated, system gets to be misused, and systems get to be destroyed by those that created the systems. We made systems to do certain things. And if those things that we make systems to do, and we do exactly, and we follow them exactly as we had designed those systems, there shouldn't be a problem with systems delivering on what the systems have been designed to deliver. Now, very integral to that is what we call leadership. Now, leadership determines to a very great extent the success and the successful implementation and adherence to the systems and of the systems that are designed. Now, I will give you some of the quotations quickly, just to give you and to qualify what I'm saying. Leadership is key aspect of any success and successful implementation of any systems. The late Dr. Miles Monroe says, everything rises and falls on leadership. Now, the quality of your leadership will determine to what extent your success is. That is very important. And your success doesn't necessarily rest on the systems that you have in place, but rest on the leadership quality that you have in place that is supposed to implement and make sure that those systems are adhered to and they do exactly what they are designed to do. Vusi Tembewayo says, amongst others, I quote him, he talks about the cancer that faces Africa, and we are not indemnified from that cancer as South Africa because we are part of Africa. A cancer that says we elect clowns and give them a seat at the master's office and expect to get service delivery that is of high quality. There are engineers who are qualified, who are good at doing their work, who knows exactly what they are supposed to do, but unfortunately, due to the leadership quality that is overseeing them, unfortunately, some of them in certain areas, they cannot do what they've been trained and what they are qualified to do properly. But also in some instances, you will find the professionals let themselves down by not being firm enough and taking and articulating particular positions and educating those that are uneducated on specific engineering matters that they need to deliver upon. Let me give you a scenario.
If I could just interject, Dr. Bongani, let me just interject and let's make this thing a little bit interactive. Given everything that you've just said, okay?
Yes.
And then where are we at now? What is it that we need to do to turn things around? I want us to talk about the window of opportunity that we have right now to basically deal with what you've actually highlighted and so that you can turn things around. If you could just talk to us about that briefly, then we can move on to the next steps. What is it that you need to do right now? What window of opportunity have we got right now, both from a leadership point of view and from a professional point of view, that we can employ to turn things around?
Thank you very much. Leadership is very key to it, Dr. Pat. All right, central to that, to every success and failure, leadership is very key. Now, there is a misalignment between talent and deployment. Okay. Now, one of the things that we need to deal with is that precisely. For instance, you've got a technical department in a government, whether is it a municipal level, which is local government, or a provincial level, or a national level, you've got a technical department that is run by a non-technical person. That is misalignment. So amongst other things, we need to correct this misalignment. Deploying the suitable talent for the specific portfolio which they are qualified for. That is very important. And of course, once again, leadership is very key. We are going next year, hopefully, to the local government elections. What kind of leaders are we going to be electing as our ward councillors, who ultimately, amongst that pool of councillors, there will arise what we will call a mayor of a particular municipality, what we will call members of the mayoral committee of that particular municipality, or executive committee members who will drive service delivery within those areas. Now, very importantly, the success and the prosperity of those municipalities rest upon the leadership quality that we elect in those positions. That is very key. So turning around, one, misalignment insofar as talent is concerned. You cannot, for instance, Dr. Pat and all the colleagues on this platform, program director, have a non-financial person running a finance department. You cannot. That is total misalignment. I'm an engineer, but I cannot account as an accountant given the portfolio of finance. And therefore, a financial, suitable, qualified person needs to be found in order to fit into that position. Okay. That is very important. You cannot have an electrical department run by a non-electrical engineering person.
Doc, you seem to be saying to us, if I were to paraphrase what you're saying, that there is a dire need for reconfiguration. And from listening to what you're saying, you say we probably don't have a capacity issue. We've got a configuration issue. That being said, Dr. Bongani Mabizela, what are the three things that we've got at our disposal that we can basically shift so that we can turn things around? I'm sure people are very hungry to listen to a person of your knowledge, of your stature, to say, what are the three things that we've got at our disposal that we can shift and turn things around, more especially taking into consideration what you're saying, that we're going into local elections next year. Three things top of mind?
Well, Dr. Pat, very importantly, learning or teaching or education insofar as different portfolios of government, and that is very key. Okay. Now, very importantly, as I said once again, leadership is at the center of it all. I want to inform you, as early as or late as last week, for instance, I attended a national construction summit where I was amazed of the pool of engineers or pool of technical expertise that we have that are looking for employment. So we don't have scarcity when it comes to that. We have in abundance. The main thing is how do we feed them? And also where we feed them, are they comfortable? For instance, people or technical professionals are running away from government, in particular at local government level, because of, amongst other issues, the kind of leadership that is there, the corruption that is there, the malfeasance that is there, and also bad practices, unethical leadership that is there. Those are, amongst others, things that needs to change. And only when you have a conscious leadership and a conscious mindset that is going to drive service delivery that says, I am here for the people, not for my own benefit, not for my pocket. I'm here to serve the people of this particular area. And that is the only way that we're going to turn things around and have success in our country.
Yeah, Dr. Bongani, Pam, if I could just come in, because he's bridging the issue of leadership and also of professionalism.
You are breaking very badly, Dr. Pat. I don't hear you.
All right. I am saying you are basically touching on leadership, but also talking about the professionals. Can you hear me, Bongani? Pam, can you hear me?
I don't hear you, Dr. Pat.
Okay. Pam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Dr. Pat.
And then Dr. Bongani?
Can you repeat what you said? I didn't hear earlier.
All right, you are basically touching on two things, and I'm mindful of time because you said you also gonna, for some time pressure. You're talking about leadership, you're also talking about the professionals, the engineers. It would seem to me that you are saying to us, we don't have the problems or with skills or with a technical capability. We've got the problems about the employment of those people. But so also what I hear from you is that the engineers or the technical fraternity is not owning up their space. What can you say to them that will basically re-entrench them such that they can own up their space? If you ignore the leadership part and put aside, because you're saying, I am an engineer, but I listen to this non-engineer person telling me what to do, and yet I'm the one that owns the fundamentals. Back to you, Doc.
No, thank you very much. And luckily, you're talking about a situation and a position that I had found myself in during my time at the municipality where I was the head of department. Now you have politicians that don't have an understanding and comprehension of engineering and engineering systems, and yet they want service delivery to be done. Now, in some instances, they will give even instructions on how they want things to be done, and yet they cannot be done in that manner. And then you need to teach them, you need to educate them on how things need to be done so that they are aligned to how things need to be done, especially when you're running technical departments. For instance, it's a good opportunity for an engineer to teach a politician who is not familiar with his portfolio or her portfolio on how this portfolio is supposed to be run, in particular on the technical engineering terms of that portfolio. That is very important. So when you have a politician that doesn't have an understanding of that particular portfolio because he is non-technical, which in many instances we found that to be the case, you don't have to listen to everything that they say and implement exactly as it is, especially when you know this one cannot be done in this manner. You cannot. Let's stop that, because unfortunately, this is where it's landing us, where there is substandard engineering work that is done, okay? And there is a lot of malfeasance and a lot of corruption and a lot of wrong things. And at the end of the day, the blame comes back to engineers. We've got bad road infrastructure, it talks to engineers. We've got bad electricity infrastructure, it talks to us as engineers. We've got bad fire engines, or there's mechanical engineers, and yet there are bad mechanics within a particular municipal setup. It talks to us as engineers. And the next thing is politicians look up to us and say, but the engineers are failing us. It's not about them failing us, it's about them having failed themselves first to advise politicians on the right things to be done. So therefore, you need to assert your position and be firm enough and in a very good manner with your political principles in making them understand. For instance, just to give you, outside of this particular topic discussion, right now, as a country, we are faced with two very important topics that are dominating our media: the Madlanga Commission and the ad hoc committee in Parliament. It talks to what? It talks to our professionals. If we had, according to me at least, and I'm sure we might have different views and many views will come out of that. If we had a national police commissioner who was firm in his resolve in saying, Minister, or my political principle, this cannot be done in this manner. Please stay on your line. I'll stay on my line. This is how it needs to be done. Probably we will have not been in this. And maybe even the political head will have understood if he is told, no, this is how things get to be done. And for this reason, this is very important.
Doc, before I hand back to Pam, I've got two questions. The first one, you seem to be saying that as the technical fraternity, we have allowed politicians into our engine room. I hear you saying that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Number two, I am saying to you that one of the things that you're talking about is a lack of ethics, both from an engineering fraternity or technical fraternity and from a leadership fraternity. Within the next 3 to 4 minutes, I would want you to discuss or address those two issues, and then I'm going to hand back to Pam. Over to you. Let's follow that order.
Can you repeat you said ethics, yes? I didn't hear you well there.
Okay, we're talking about the issues of ethics again.
Yes.
So I am saying that thing is very evident, both from an engineering fraternity point of view and also from a leadership point of view. So if we were to turn things around, we also need to deep dive in that space. So I need you to talk about these two things within the next 3 to 4 minutes, and then we'll hand back to Pam.
Well, that is a very important topic on its own, Dr. Pat. Ethics and being ethical and having ethical leadership is very key to a success of any organization. Not even mention just a government institution where service delivery for its inhabitants, being its community, it's so much desperately needed. Now, ethical leadership talks to you as a human being, as what is it that is right and what is it that is wrong, and refrain from doing that is wrong and try and make sure that you do what is right. The engineers, for instance, or technical personnel have become unethical in their conduct in many instances where they allow wrong things to happen and to be done in front of them for personal gain and sometimes for patronage, because I just want to make my boss, who is a politician, happy. I don't want to differ with my boss. It's wrong. Okay, when you know that this one is not right, it will come back and bite you at some stage. The journey that you have traveled, whatever that you've tried to put in as systems or a part of your profile as in-service delivery, one time or once upon a particular period, it will fail and it will manifest that indeed engineer so-and-so or technical personnel so-and-so wasn't indeed giving good advice to us when this was being done. So many failures on technical projects are primarily because of engineers having lacked the necessary ethics, taking shortcuts and trying to appease bosses for all the wrong reasons, and sometimes also for their own narrow-minded gains as well. That is very, very key. We need to have ethical leaders, technically and politically, to ensure that the conduit of service delivery is adhered to and is properly delivered to our communities and to our people in the country and in the nation.
Thank you so much, Pam. And let me hand back to you. Then I can come back with one last question after you.
Yeah, I'm just like really, really learning so much. And we are so fortunate to have you, Dr. Bongani. Thank you so much. But then let us continue then. And in my research, looking you up, Googling on LinkedIn and looking up your profile, and then I learned that your PhD thesis centered around innovation and entrepreneurship. And with this context, then, I want to frame it in the context of then inclusion and talent pipelines. Because Dr. Mabizela, we have unemployed engineering graduates and youth with technical skills who cannot find pathways to meaningful work, even though the country needs them. So why is this happening in your view, in the context of innovation, in the context of entrepreneurship as well? Why is this happening and how do we fix it going forward for the next generation?
Thank you very much, Ms. Pam. You are right. You've just nailed it on the head. Yes. Technical systems fail when leadership systems fail. The technical skills that we have that are not placed properly at positions where they are supposed to be placed, it's purely because of unethical leadership that we find ourselves in and as a country. Misalignment, wrong deployments in key technical positions. Hence, we are having a pull sets of skills that are wandering and still looking for employment or still looking for deployment elsewhere. So I think that is very key. Very importantly, that we change that around and make sure that we have the right fit for the right people. Putting the right people in the right positions is going to be very key. And also making the environment where we are placing these people healthy. What am I saying? Let's not make that environment hostile. Let's not make that environment unfriendly to them. Okay, amongst other things that has been very prevalent with government environment is when you get in there, are you gonna do what your principal says, irrespective of whether you like it or not? It shouldn't be like that. It should be our professionals must be allowed to express their talent and their professional expertise to render a service that is so much needed for our communities in the country. I think that is very important. Another aspect that also I just want to highlight, amongst other things as well, a culture of accountability within the public sector in particular, foresight, integrity, and also collaboration. That is very key, okay, to a successful implementation of government's mandate, a municipal mandate on service delivery, and with the right skill sets that have been placed in the right positions where they are supposed to be. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bongani. So, Dr. Pett, if you can allow me, because I think Mary has just indicated that we've got questions in the chat, and I'm also looking at the time, and we just really want to afford, the leaders that have joined us in the call today to also engage with Dr. Bongani before he leaves us, and then we'll come back to your question, then Dr. Pett, and then go into a close. So, if that's okay. So, Mary, can you then maybe just, highlight to us, what are some of the questions that you see in the chat? And also over and above that, we'll also then open up for leaders to raise their hands, unmute themselves, and engage with our guest, Dr. Bongani, as well as Dr. Pett. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Pam. So there is a question just in the chat. The first one is, how can we effectively engage retired engineers to mentor and share their expertise with the younger generation of engineers? So we've got the older generation, then how do they share their expertise with the younger ones?
Well, thank you very much. I come from a sector within engineering space whereby when we're being trained as to be engineers, whenever we were in recess at our respective technical institutions, we will go and work, and we will work under a qualified and experienced trained engineer or a technical person. Now, that in its own, it's mentoring the young prodigy that is eventually going to be becoming an engineer. Now, I don't see that happening more often now than what it used when during our time, what it used to happen. So that also assists a lot. For instance, if you have elderly or well-experienced engineers, partner them with young engineers. Let me, as a senior experienced engineer, have at least 2 or 3 or maybe even 5 young engineers, technical engineers, technical personnel that will fall under my mentorship program, where I'm going to take them by the hand and show them and teach them how things are done. I think that is very important, because theoretically, what you learn in class, and when you apply it in practice, you can immediately visualize and see the results thereof. So that is very important. So we used to have that program, and I think that is very important even now. Hence, we find ourselves with a scarcity of well-trained technical skills. We are sitting with a number of certified, in the sense of certificates, meaning you've graduated, you've got a diploma, you've got a degree. However, you lack experience, you lack knowledge, because you haven't had an opportunity to be housed by somebody who will take you by the hand and train you in the actual implementation and showing you the jobs
how it ought to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
So the
much.
value of mentorship is key, is certainly key. Continue, Mary, with the questions.
Yeah, so
No,
there is
Pam,
another
sorry, Mary,
question.
before you come in,
Yeah.
let me just
Okay.
add on what Dr. Bongani is saying. Mentorship is a relationship, colleagues. We cannot sit here and blame those that are supposed, or the gray beards, and not talk about those that are supposed to basically raise their hands. So mentorship is a function of a mentee and a mentor. What is basically the clear success factor of a mentorship? One is about a mentee making himself or herself available. In this day and age, I have raised my hand a number of times to say, I am available to mentor people. They don't show up. And I think we need to also talk about that, Mary and non-Kanta, to say that our young engineers, they also need to show up, and then people will be there. Over to you.
Okay, yep.
Okay. Thank you so much for that insight. So the second question is, what are the current practical skill level of our young engineers? And are there any specific areas where further development is needed in terms of training?
Well, to a very great extent, I think training at technical colleges and universities of technology, and of course universities as well, it's done. And I think all over the country, in those different categories, we've got well-experienced lecturers that are well-educated to disseminate and to teach and to educate our technical to be professionals. I think it's safe to say that, one, that alone, complemented by practical implementation through, amongst others, mentorship program, and also exposing the young professionals to the actual work itself is very key. So it's a combination of those two facets. I don't think we are lacking in anyhow when it comes to the theoretical part of skilling technical professionals. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. There is one interesting question. There is a comment that says, I agree, skill transfer is the only way to facilitate technical skills. So that's not a question, it's a comment. But there is one interesting question here. To what extent can ECSA hold engineers accountable for signing off projects that are literally of poor or unacceptable standard? For example, like a 15 million rand, I think, project, that's what they are talking about. So how do we hold them accountable for such projects?
Can you repeat? I didn't get part of your earlier question.
Okay, so how do we, sorry, Doctor.
Yes.
How do we hold institutions like ECSA accountable for signing off projects that are poor or unacceptable in terms of their standard? How do we hold them accountable? Pam?
Or how do we hold engineers that are to be accountable? Is that what you're saying?
How do we hold ECSA, the Engineering Council of South Africa? To what extent can ECSA hold engineers accountable for signing of projects that are literally of poor or unacceptable standard?
Okay, let me narrate it to you. As a professional engineer, I go through a particular theoretical training. Then coupled to that is practical training. Then combined, it then elevates me to a level where I then make a submission to EXA, which is the Engineering Council of South Africa, for an application to be accredited and to be certified and to be recognized as a professional engineer. Now, there is a criteria that is spelled out very clearly by EXA insofar as who becomes this particular technical professional. Now, once I've qualified in line with the criteria, I get to be given the certificate that I'm a qualified engineer, I'm a qualified technologist, I'm a qualified technician. Now, it's incumbent upon me then to make sure that when I am applying my expertise to a client, on the field, in a project, I do things properly. Now, as engineers, we have what is called a public indemnity. For instance, we are all required, whether in consulting, we are all required. Now, when you are doing a project for government, for instance, okay, government will require, amongst others, as a professional, as an engineer, as a consultant, that you have this professional or liability or indemnity, so that in case there is something that you've done wrong, as a technical professional, they can hold you accountable. So it's not necessarily only the EXA as an Engineering Council of South Africa that holds you accountable, but the municipality or the government or your client can actually hold you accountable through the indemnity insurance that you would have given prior to you executing a particular project. Now, also your client can report you to the Engineering Council that you didn't practice technically in line with your profession, you didn't exercise and you didn't properly exercise your duties accordingly, hence the failure of a particular structure. Then EXA will do an investigation about you, and EXA then will take away your license to operate as an engineer, should it be that you are found to be guilty, or there will be a sanction against you, maybe for a particular period that you don't have a license. In other words, you're not recognized as a professional engineer because of your failure to execute your work accordingly. So that's how you can be held accountable.
Maybe just to add, Mary, on what Dr. Mabizela is saying, he's already addressed this thing in part of his speech. It's all about ethics. Remember, EXA gives you that certificate to say you are a professional engineer. But if you do not have ethics and you play up to the gallery to some of our bosses, like Dr. Mabizela was saying, you will take shortcuts, obviously. And therefore, it's all about making sure that we produce engineers that understand businesses, just like Dr. Mabizela was saying, but that also understand the value that ethics bring to the occasion. Maybe just to ask Dr. Mabizela as we close here is to say, what is the role of the universities, Dr. Mabizela? I am of a view personally that universities are not producing students or engineers that are dealing or that can face or solve the country's problem. I think universities at this moment in time, they are producing just a lot of certificated people or degreed people, but not necessarily people that are geared out there to solve the country's problems. Your views on that, and then we can hand over back to Mary and then Pam.
Well, Dr. Pat, thank you very much. I think I've also indicated slightly, the theoretical training alone cannot be a qualifier for an engineer, for a technical professional. You need the practical part. In fact, practically, that's where you get to see. For instance, I'm a roads engineer, I'm a roads designer. I cannot understand only through theoretical training that I've acquired in a class, in a boardroom, how a particular road is designed if I haven't actually executed it practically and see the success thereof and see the failures thereof. Because not every time when you're applying a particular technical application, you will always succeed. There are certain failures, but through those failures you learn. But that is very important. However, there is minimal failures when you are in a good understanding and good comprehension of your practical combined with your theoretical part. That is very important. So yes, the theoretical part that is being done by universities, we cannot downplay that. It's very important. Key to complementing that is practical implementation of what you've learned in class. I think that's very important.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Bongani. So I think let us close, but then before we close your segment, Dr. Mabizela, I just want to check with our audience, our leaders in the call, if we haven't missed anyone that has a comment or a question. If you do, please raise your hand, unmute yourself. We'll take maybe like 2 people in the interest of time to just maybe engage with our guest. Is there anyone that we have missed? Please, by show of hand, and unmute yourself and pose the question or comment in the context of the topic. Are there any hands, Mary?
No, not yet, but all the questions in the chat have been answered.
Okay, no, thank you. So, Dr. Mabizela, let's then maybe have your final insights then before we let you go. And I would just really like to ask, Doc, you know, what is then the one non-negotiable South Africa must get right if we are to build systems that work? So just in closing, your closing summary, what is that one non-negotiable?
Ethical leadership is very key. I must be honest with you. Ethical leadership. I mean, just to go back again, you know, we cannot have strong systems without a strong higher education linkages. That is very important. Okay, and complementing that, your universities, your colleges, you know, are part of building systems that work rather than just issuing qualifications. That is very key. And of course, you know, it's complementary all the way, but key to the successful implementation and to the successful service delivery in our respective areas, especially technical projects. That's what we're talking about when we talk of service delivery. When we talk of service delivery, we talk of roads infrastructure, which couples with stormwater. We're talking of water, we're talking of sanitation, we're talking of electricity. Immediately, those are the main key, you know, deliverables, and that requires technical expertise. Now, leadership, ethical leadership is very important. Ethical leadership, not by politicians alone, but by also technical professionals. Let's not cut corners. Let's not take shortcuts in making our projects. Let's make sure that we do them and we do them right and we do them first time correct, and it will last for a long time and will always be remembered and be called again to implement similar projects elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. So let us not miss this one hand. I see there's someone who came up with a hand, and I just really like to just maybe not leave her out. Tembi, you've got your hand up.
Evening, everyone.
Good evening, Tembi.
No, I couldn't resist to also throw in my 2 cents worth of comment from what has been shared tonight. Very good insights. I'm also in the engineering sector, in the built environment. I'm an HR and ESG director. What I believe is the biggest shortfall in the system, in as much as we have EXA that holds the professionals accountable because they've got a code of conduct. But I think the system fails in terms of the reporting of these professional inefficacies and all the corruption and people not delivering according to the standards, according to what the professional code requires. So once we get the society to understand that there's a professional council body that looks after the quality of work that the people do, and if people have been involved in a project and they see that this project was not delivered satisfactorily, the end user is not happy with the quality, then we need to start teaching people to report and know where to report, because EXA is there to take action. Once the report comes in, they do due diligence, they investigate, and they hold the engineers accountable. I know with our organization, our engineers, the professionally registered ones, they're very protective with their signatures. They don't just sign anything that they don't approve of or they don't understand. Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tembi. Please, Dr. Pett, can you just close this segment and then we say goodbye to Dr. Bongani, our guest. and so that we can release him, and then we continue with for the next 20 minutes with the rest of our program, because this session is booked until 7:30. So we have about now, I think 20 or 25 minutes left of the session. So maybe just 2 minutes. So on my side, Dr. Bongani Mabizela, I would just really like to thank you. I was very nervous when I was reading your profile and your bio. And I was like, sure, honestly, God has really blessed us to have people like you in our corner, where we can actually then spread the message with our community in terms of ethical leadership and what that means. So over to you, Dr. Pat.
Thank you so much, Pam. And to you, Dr. Bongani, thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy diary to come and engage with us here. Key to what you've said is ethics, ethics, ethics. But I have a question, not only for you, Dr. Bongani, for all of us. How do we take this ethic issue back home to our youngsters, such that by the time they finish grade 7, they understand the value of ethics? I don't think we've invested much on those kind of levels. So a call to action for me is that all of us, if in our respective space, we could start influencing our future leaders on the issues of ethics, then we'll be having a better country to come in the future. Thank you, Dr. Bongani. I know that you are basically stretched in terms of time. You had a hard stop, but you've actually stayed with us. Let me allow you to say your closing comment in the next 10 seconds, and then we can release you.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Pat and the team at Inspired Growth. I really, really feel very humbled and honored to have been part of this session. And I look forward to contributing in future as and when it's necessary. But as a closing remark from my side, I think technical systems, which we've been talking about, fail when leadership systems fail. I think you cannot isolate the two from one another. And we need to be cognizant of that fact. And once again, thank you very much. And I wish you all the best. And I wish you longevity with your strategic input into changing the paradigm in this country. I think we need firm, good leadership sessions like the one that Inspired Growth NPC has created, and will definitely always support when necessary. I thank you all and have a blessed evening.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Doc. So thank you so much. That was just really, really food for thoughts and very engaging. So let us continue then with our program for the next 20 minutes leading us to a close. And just to really build up, in the context of the panel that we've had with Dr. Bongani, then in terms of, what is the mandate and the strategy then of Inspired Growth, and what have been some of our observations that are informed by research. And we are really saying that in these 3 points, that our country is reaching potential, yet it's constrained by leadership gaps, it's constrained by skills mismatches and inadequate collaboration. Mainly between academia, government, local government, and industry, both public and private sector. So there's also a global shift towards AI and innovation and automation, and which really demands adaptive and future-ready leaders. And also then this ecosystem, Inspired Growth, really exists then to convert these national challenges as we build it up with leaders like Dr. Pat, with leaders like Dr. Bongani, and other leaders from high impact sectors that we will be engaging for the next 12 months. In terms of how do we turn these challenges into opportunities for innovation and growth, because the future of our country or the future of leadership in South Africa really depends on systems that work. And we know that in terms of some of the information is that leadership capacity deficit across public and private sector has been observed in South Africa. We've seen a staggering numbers of unemployed graduates, despite the skills shortages that we talk about, and only 35% of organizations really have a structured leadership pipeline. So then we have come up with the strategic house. I'm not going to go into detail, but it's just to highlight what the vision is for Inspired Growth, which is really an ecosystem where personal growth, leadership development, and business innovation intersect for high impact sectors of our economy to enable individuals, to enable businesses and communities to thrive with purpose, confidence, and impact. So these master classes will not just be a talk shop. There will be interventions that will be designed, either summits or workshops that will follow for the next 12 months, for the next 3 years, for the next 5 years, that are supported by these strategic focus areas under leadership development, empowerment and opportunity for women and youth, and inclusive workplaces and culture, as well as recognition and visibility. And obviously embedding it with the core enablers that will focus on short-term and medium-term and long-term interventions, and then which are very specific in terms of the outcomes then for both individuals and corporates, including our communities and society. So I'll just hand over then to Mary, who will take us through, why is this work important? Why does this work matter then in terms of addressing the leadership gaps, addressing the critical skills mismatches, and closing the gap in terms of inadequate collaboration between sectors, government, and academia. So Mary, please take us through in terms of what our work, our purpose, our impact is. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Pam. I still see we have 18 people on the call. So I want to say thank you so much for staying with us all the way to this part of the session. We truly appreciate that you chose to spend this evening with us. We did a brief introduction towards the start of the session, but if you joined late, just a brief introduction. My name is Mary Gadamu. I'm the co-founder and community lead at Inspired Growth. LinkedIn is actually how Pam and I met, how we were introduced to Dr. Pat as well. So it already tells you that how much we believe in the power of visibility and networking and making connections. And it's one of the reasons why this work that we do means a lot to us, the power of visibility. So please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn after the session. Let's network, stay in touch, and continue the conversation there as well. So let me jump right onto the core topic of this evening. So the first one is, why do we do this work? So as you might know, across different sectors, whether it's business, government, education, or even in community spaces, we are seeing same kinds of challenges. There are people with real potential who just don't have access to the right opportunities. There are leaders who are committed and passionate, but they are stretched and overwhelmed. There are young people who are hungry to grow, they are hungry to go places, but they are invisible. Nobody sees what they are capable of. And most importantly, women who are skilled and who are ready, but they lack support. They lack confidence in the platform and the visibility that they need to thrive. So these challenges affect careers, confidence, stability, and the future of entire families. So why do we do this work? Because we want to close those gaps that I mentioned earlier in a practical and meaningful way. We want people to receive real support, real skills, real networks, and real visibility, not just motivation, because as you know, motivation only is not going to get you far in life. Now that I have spoken about why we do this, let's move on to how we actually do this. So everything we do is guided by a simple idea. We want people to grow in practical ways. So to make that happen, we focus on a few key areas. We support leaders, we support women, and we support young people and students, and we help them to become visible. So just briefly, I know we don't have much time, so let me just talk briefly about leadership development. So when we talk about leadership development, we are talking about real hands-on support. We are not just talking theory on the books. We run leadership clinics where leaders can discuss the real challenges they face in their roles. We offer coaching and practical workshops that help leaders communicate better, manage their team more effectively, and make key decisions with confidence. So what is the outcome we are trying to achieve? Leaders walk away with tools that they can use immediately. They will feel more equipped, more supported, and more confident in their roles. So that's leadership development. And briefly about women empowerment, with women, our key focus is building confidence, providing support, and improving access. So again, we provide mentorship, personal development sessions that will help them to achieve their goals. And a key area that we are all passionate about is youth and students. Youth employability is a topic that Pam and I and Dr. Pat are really passionate about, because young people often have the talent, but they lack the visibility. So for them, we offer career exposure sessions to help them understand different industries, leadership expectations, and the world of work. You finish school, you complete your courses, but you don't have visibility, you don't have practical hands-on experience. And that's the gap that we are trying to bridge. And the last one is visibility. I spoke earlier about how Pam, Dr. Pat, and myself met. It's through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is not the only platform that we look into. There are different platforms, where people can be visible. So we help people improve their LinkedIn profiles, build their personal brand, and tell their story clearly and connect with very important people. Because when you are visible, you will unlock opportunities. So now, how do you get involved? I've spoken about why we do this, how we do it. Now, the most important thing is you might ask, okay, so what is it? Like, how do I get involved? You can volunteer your skills. You can collaborate with us. If you run an organization, you can send us an email, and then we can talk about how we can collaborate to support our communities. You can continue to join our monthly collaboration sessions. This is the first one, but we will have monthly sessions. So we will invite you to please to continue to join our monthly sessions. And then lastly, you can become a member. You can become an Inspired Growth member and then help us to unlock economic opportunities for everyone in our community. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. There is a lot that we want to say, but briefly, that's what Inspired Growth is all about. Thank you. Thank you so much. We've
Thank
got
you so
19
much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mary. I'm not sure if there's anything that you'd like to add, Dr. Pat, before we take any questions, comments in this context, but also before maybe I hand over to you, Dr. Pat, is just to, over and above what Mary has taken us through, is that we are currently building our website. We are almost there. So our website will be very interactive, because this movement is a membership-based movement where we'll have corporate memberships, where we'll have individual memberships for employed professionals, and then we'll also have free membership for unemployed youth and women between the ages of 18 and 35. And then we'll then collaborate with leaders and corporates from high impact sectors to actually then, solve for the critical skills mismatches, to solve for leadership gaps, and to invite leaders like Dr. Bongani and many, many others, because we've got brilliant minds in our country and in the African continent. It's just that, so we must, maybe discourage this recycling of the same voices in our leadership spaces, but how do we bring in other voices that we haven't heard from, that are doing nice and wonderful things behind the scenes, but maybe their work is not visible, so that's what we are then aiming to. So we will have an announcement when our website is up in terms of how you can get involved. But we'll also have our monthly masterclasses such as this one. This was the first one. We've got another one coming up around mid-December, just before the 15th. It will either be the 11th or the 12th, where we'll bring another impactful expert to engage us on another topic. And the topic for December, we've thought about it already. It is called Leading Forward. Let me actually just read it, because I wrote it down earlier. Leading Forward, Mastering, Mentoring, Coaching, and Effective leadership strategies. So we'll really have a high impact leader who will engage us on this as well. So we have your email addresses because you've registered to be on this. So obviously we'll use it for the purposes of engaging on Inspired Growth, not in for any other business. So then when we then have communication and when we want to send you the recording of this session, we'll then send it to your email that you use to register for this session. Over to you, Dr. Pat, and you can lead us to a close, and we can take any comments, input, areas of improvement, suggestions from anyone. Share your LinkedIn profiles on the chat as well for anyone that you'd like to connect with. Over to you, Dr. Pat.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you so much, Pam. Please kindly allow me to hijack one of my fellow colleagues who is very passionate about mentoring and also coaching. And this person is Tammy Bassi. Tammy is a credentialed coach, one of the very few blacks in South Africa who is a credentialed coach, or probably one of the very few in KZN. Tammy, can I ask you just to say hello and then maybe give us your views and your reflection on today, Tammy?
Hello, can you hear me?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tammy.
I wanted to put my camera, but it's like it's failing me.
Oh yeah, no, we can see you now. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for your hijacking. So, no, thank you so much, Doc. Now, I mean, if I may just put it bluntly, the question I was asking was trying to stretch it a bit because I was thinking that the main thing that is quite a big problem here is accountability in relation to obviously to ethics. So maybe that's where I would believe that the biggest thing or the biggest problem we are faced with is a lack of accountability at all levels in leadership at a moment. Hence, we find ourselves having two commissions or two investigations on the same thing. So that's basically saying no one wants to take the flap of it. It's like somebody must be blamed somewhere else. But coming back to my own reflection again, I think Dr. Pat and colleagues, what we are doing here is one thing that is going to go a long way. Because we believed in the past that politics is the movement that will take us somewhere, but we can see now that in actual fact it's making things worse for us. I think these types of initiatives for me are the great way of turning the country around. So the Inspired Growth, it's one direction that I would believe that will turn things around, because we need to talk about these things. We need to challenge the initiatives that are there, and we need to challenge government decisions as well. And we can only do that if we're united as one voice, and we are showing that we need better things rather than just everything going down the drain. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Tammy. And Tammy and I are within Commensa, and I know Tammy to be one of those people that are very active, but that have got a heart for coaching and mentorship. So thanks a lot. So colleagues, and as Mary was saying, we would want to invite you to have a say on the issues of the day, even beyond today's function. And so we are looking forward to be influenced by yourselves. Like Pam said, that we now have planned for another session in December, and then there's others coming up early in the year. But Pam and Mary, I am tempted to say the one on January must be on leadership accountability. You know, these are some of the things that are troubling us. And I'm sure that if we basically set up another session in January on leadership accountability, we'll find a person that can talk about these things while they're still in people's face. And maybe we will have an opportunity as a country to start turning things slowly. And colleagues, it's not about doing big things when it comes to leadership. It's about doing small things, but doing them right. And then also, as my closing comment, before I ask everybody else to comment, I just want to say that all of us are leaders in our own space. But what about that? The answer is very simple, Pam, and every one of us. When you're a leader, people don't care what you say. Really, people don't care what you say. Mary, you can talk beautifully and say all the beautiful things. Tammy, Jerry, Jeffrey, Nopiwa, they don't care. What they care about is what you do, because that is what models them. So we are here today as a country where we've got two commissions running in parallel. It's not because leadership was not there. Leadership was there, but it did not model people correctly. So as my closing comment, what I need us to take home is that people are watching us. People are watching us. And they then unconsciously or consciously start modeling our behavior. Let me wish you well, and God bless you. Back to Pam and Mary.
No, thank you so much, Dr. Pat. I just want to check if there's anyone that we have missed or anyone that would like to say closing reflections. So anyone that, also compliments are welcome, so we like compliments as well. But anyway, so if maybe also expectations, what you would like to see coming out of Inspired Growth based on just the little information that we have shared here in today's session. Yeah. Let me just check if there's no hand or comment that I've missed. If there's no other comment, Mary, also on the chat.
Yeah, no comments in the chat, but I shared a link to our LinkedIn profile. I'm sure a lot of you came from LinkedIn because that's where we've been pushing, but we have also created a Facebook page because we want your help to amplify our message and everything that we are trying to do. So if you can please connect with us on LinkedIn and Facebook as well, and then we keep the conversation going. But I also want to say that thank you so much. I know you have a very busy day. It's now 7:30, so you have got family responsibilities. So we really appreciate you being here, and let's continue to make a difference and bring about change together.
Yeah, and we'll send the recording as well. And we'll also promote this masterclass online as well. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your evening. Mary and Dr. Pat, if you can stay behind. And also, we just also like to thank our board because it's not just the three of us that make up the leadership of Inspired Growth. We have 12 people that sit on our board members, and some are advisory board members. I see Sis Joy, she's joined us, so we've got other board members as well that couldn't be here with us. So it's quite a healthy, big organization that we have started. And the reason why we have such a big board so that we can have diverse, perspectives and thoughts to make sure that no one is left behind. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
And
Good
good
night.
night.